Hello, everyone. Happy Friday. I have to do this. Happy Halloween. This is the sign for Halloween. Halloween, isn't that cute? Like you're peeking out from behind your mask. I have my Halloween scarf on today. My bestie knitted me this many years ago. And it's just the cutest because, black and orange, we got to get in the spirit. What are you all doing for the eve before Halloween? I shared earlier this week that we are putting up a trick or tree. So I am hole punching candy and tying it with a little ribbon, and then we're going to put it all over our trees in the front yard. So any trick-or-treaters who can come by will just take a piece of candy off the tree and go about their merry way, and it will be socially distanced and safe. And we can peer at them. We can say Happy Halloween from the windows. It'll be great. I have a couple other things to chat about, but I want to first go over today's live. This could be complete and utter disaster, or it could be super fun. We'll see. We've spent so much time building this community, and I feel like I know all of you, and obviously you know all of me, but I thought it would be fun to have you ask me anything you want today. Any question is on the table. So you can put those questions in the comments. Be sure to put a Q first, capital Q, so the tech guy knows that it's a question. So put those in and I will answer them. Also, if you want to come live with me, if you want to be live on the screen with me, I'm going to go over how that's going to work, and then we'll chat a little bit and we'll maybe bring the first person on if it works. And like I said, we've never done this before, so it could be total, utter disaster, but that's okay. It's worth trying, right? Okay, here are the tech guy's instructions for you. You're going to look for the link in the comments. He's posted the link in the comments. You click that link, and once you do, you're going to put your name in a field on the page, and then you'll click the join button. If you are selected to join in on the live, you will be admitted to a green room. Your mic will be muted until you come on the screen with me. So all of a sudden, you'll just appear next to me. So be ready for that. That's fair warning. It's kind of perfect for Halloween, right? It's spooky. You don't know. You'll be in the green room going, what am I going to be on? No, you probably won't. You'll be super chill. That's just me. Okay. This is the first time we're doing that, right? So please don't flood the comments with any tech support questions because the link may or may not work for some of you. And so as a test today, we'll figure that out later, but the tech guy can't do any tech support during the live. That all has to be figured out later. Just a few notes. Be sure that you're in a well-lit area without a lot of background noise, and try to keep your mic on low. If you've ever listened to radio call-in shows, you know how you get that feedback and echo. So make sure your volume is down. And last but not least, this is my favorite one. The tech guy wants you to know he will hang up on you if there's an issue. No, seriously, like if your internet connection isn't great, or the connection isn't working, don't worry. He says he wants you to know it's nothing personal. He just wants to keep the show running and moving along. And because this is our first test, we have no idea. So hopefully those instructions are clear. Look for the link, click on it. It will be pretty self-explanatory from there. But if you don't want to be on live, if you're just cozy at home in your pajamas and you have a question for me, put it in the comments. That works too. Okay, so I told you about my trick-or-treat tree. Last night I had a group of friends over and we did a viewing of Wonder Woman outside on our big screen, which was super fun to get kind of in the holiday spirit. And it's getting cold in Ashland now, especially at night. I think it was like 45 by the time we finished the movie. We had our fire pit going. We were all in like sleeping bags and hats and gloves and everything. But I think this is going to be our trend for the rest of the holiday season. I'm seeing a lot of outdoor movies in my future, cozy underneath blankets around a fire pit outside because, it's outside, it's safer. But this coming weekend for Ashland, after we get through Thanksgiving, snow is predicted. I can't believe it. Snow. I don't know if I'm ready for that. I would love to know what else you have on your agenda for Halloween and other ways that you may be sharing trick-or-treat fun. I have a friend who's going to hang candy on clothespins on a clothesline in her front yard. Another friend is doing little goodie bags that she's leaving out in her driveway so kids can just come and grab and go. But if you have other thoughts, like, share them with us. All right, let's see. Moving on. I had a few questions that had come through before the live, so I thought I would start with that. Okay, so the first question that I have, and then the tech guy says he's got a bunch queuing up, is why are some of your books in hardcover? So we've just been talking about Without a Brew. Look at that in hardcover. It's so beautiful. A little back cover. Why are some of your books in hardcover, and why are books published in different formats? That's a big question, but it's actually something I get asked quite a lot. In terms of publishing, it really depends. There are so many factors that go into how a book is published in terms of format. So sometimes it's hardcover, maybe it's mass market, which is, I'll grab one of these guys. This is considered mass market paperback. So these are kind of like the size you could just tuck in your purse or your backpack or a bag. And then there's trade paperback, which is a little bit bigger. There are some new formats. So it really depends. In the case of this series, I was already writing the BAKESHOP mysteries, and my mass market books come out every 6 months. So I am delivering a book every 6 months. Whereas hardcover only comes out once a year. It comes out originally in hardcover. It comes out in hardcover first, and then 6 months, 9 months, a year later, it will come out in paperback. So they always come out in paperback too. For me, it was just a bandwidth issue because I didn't have enough space and time to be able to write 2 mass market series a year. That would have been delivering 4 books. So that's why that happens. Sometimes it's about how big the author is. Somebody like James Rowlands or J.K. Rowling, they are going to be in hardcover because it's just a higher price point, right? So there's that. And then there can be all kinds of other factors, but that's why for me. Okay. Okay, we're going to go live. Lillian, how are you? I love it. That's so awesome. You said you were going to be Tigger and you did it. Hold on, you're muted. He's working on it. Okay, try now.
Is it me or is it you?
No, we got you. It's Tech Guy. He's got to get his.
Oh, yay, we love Tech Guy.
I know. This is so fun. You have no idea. This is making my day because I feel like I know you. So now we get to actually talk.
I know, I'm so excited. Oh my gosh, I'm shaking.
No, don't shake. Okay, first of all, well done on Tigger. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
How goes your Friday?
It's crazy. It's my son's birthday tomorrow, so we're trying to figure everything out for Halloween and everything. We're going to go to a corn maze, which he doesn't know about instead of trick-or-treating. So that's pretty much it.
I love it. It's a Halloween extravaganza. Birthday in a corn maze. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so hit me up with your question.
Okay. If you could go back in time, like when you were in high school, what advice would you give your younger self that you wish you knew back then?
Oh, wow. That is such a good question. I feel like in high school, I don't know if this is true for you, but I was filled with so much. What's that? Oh, your cattail. I just missed it.
Yeah.
The tech guy got it. I was filled with so much just angst, I guess. I was constantly worried about not stepping into who I really was, I guess. Like I was way more worried about what my friends and peers thought of me. And one thing that I find that's so interesting, especially with my son who's in high school now, is that I feel like this next generation coming up, they are much more connected to who they are as people at a younger age. I don't feel like I got to that space until long after college. So I think I would tell my younger self, like, just relax. Like people want to know the real you, not this like facade that you try to box yourself in on. Is that good?
Yeah, that's good. I like it. Thank you.
Does that work? Yeah. And you successfully managed the link. It was easy. We could do this again.
Yeah, it was
easy. Okay, before we go, I have to tell people you are also writing right now. You're working on your first mystery.
Yes.
And
it's so
how's it
exciting
going?
and nerve-wracking, and it's fun.
It's fun.
It's fun. It is fun. Even though it drives me crazy and I like think my brain explodes 99% of the time, I still love it. It's still like I will get there someday. It's been my dream for forever. So, and
I
you are
love
making it
it.
possible. Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Well, you're making it possible because you're doing it. And I think for everyone watching, it is that thing like when we make that commitment to ourselves and we take that step to say, like, I'm doing this thing that I have always wanted to do, it
Yeah.
just, you set that into motion. So that's so awesome. And yeah, she's for anyone who doesn't know, Lillian is taking my mystery series master class, and we have our own private Facebook group. So it's been so fun to watch the writers really learn how to support each other in that too, which is what I would have wanted when I started out. But I also have to say, going back to the fun part, it's always still hard too. Like that never goes away. So, you know,
Yay.
I know, right? I don't know if that's helpful or worse.
No, that's good.
Awesome. Well, so fun to get to see you in real life. This is making my
Yes, I
entire
that's so
weekend.
awesome.
And way to go on costumes too. I'm very impressed.
Yay. Oh, here's my Tigger hand.
Oh yeah. Tell your son happy birthday and happy Halloween.
I will.
Okay. Happy
Okay,
writing.
thanks. Bye.
Bye. Woo. I love that it worked. That was so awesome. Good job, tech guy. Yay. Good job, Lillian. Look at that costume. So fun. This is how it's meant to be. Okay. Oh, we've got another one coming. Jessica said, how did you decide on the names of your characters? Oh, that's a really great question. You know, I feel like 99% of the time, well, I'll backtrack. I'll talk about protagonists first. I'll talk about Sloan and Jules. Jules, in particular, when I was first writing the BAKESHOP mysteries, I knew that I was going to set it here in Ashland. I knew there was going to sort of be this Shakespearean element to it. And so I had all of these Shakespearean names. In fact, I still have them in a notebook tucked away back here, but I did not know what her name was until probably 3/4 of the way through the first draft. I will often write with a placeholder name. I'll do some work like trying to figure out, you know, key components of a character. So when I first started writing, I knew that she was a romantic at heart, that she was a pastry chef, that she had grown up here in Ashland but left to see the world and then was coming back home to kind of heal her broken heart. So that's about as much as I knew as I really started writing this series. I had names like Helena, which is how Helen, her mom, ended up with her name because I decided, oh, I do still want like a touch of Helen in a book. But I had Juliet on my list, but it just felt so formal. And one day I was out walking with my best friend, who actually is the knitter of this scarf. And she said, well, what if her line is something like, yeah, my name is Juliet, but please call me Jules. And when she said that, I was like, oh my gosh, that is perfect because that tells you so much about the character. And then it's been fun to pepper in, you know, who calls her Jules versus who calls her Juliet. There's that formality kind of, or people who knew her when she was young. So that whole element comes into play. With Sloan, I had known from the start of that series that I wanted to name her Sloan just because I love that name. It's so strong. And I don't know, I'd always sort of had an affinity for it. I had wanted to use that name in another book and it wasn't a good match. So I just kind of had it on a Post-it note that I would look at. And yeah, the time just finally came. Now, in terms of suspects and secondary characters, they change all the time. I almost always start writing with just like a placeholder name, and it won't be until I go back through like a second or third round of edits that I realize like, oh no, this is the name. And then sometimes you all send me names. Sometimes readers send me name suggestions. I spend a lot of time perusing decades worth of most popular baby names because sometimes depending on how old a character is, I might want to go back and go, okay, you know, if this character is supposed to be in their 70s or 80s, I don't want to pick a modern name. So I'll go back and look at what names were popular in the 1940s, for example. So that's always fun. I love coming up with names. And if you have a great name idea, send them my way. Awesome question. Okay. Patty wants to know, did you move to Ashland because of writing the BAKESHOP series? I mean, basically, yeah. I had grown up coming to Ashland. I was raised in Vancouver, Washington, which is almost like a suburb of Portland. People get mad when I say that, but really it is. So Vancouver is just right across the river from Portland. And growing up, we would come down to Ashland to see plays and spend the summer here. Not the whole summer, but a week or so at a time. And I just remember having such fond memories of it. Then fast forward, I started writing the series, and we began, my family and I, Tech Guy and our kiddo, we were coming much more often because I wanted to have a more authentic sense of the place to be able to work that into the series. So for example, we would, instead of coming down for like just a week of the summer, we'd come and spend 2 or 3 weeks over the like winter period in January to see what the town was like during the off season, or we'd come for like an extended time during the spring. And we just all really fell in love with it. And we were kind of ready for a change. The Portland, Vancouver area had gotten so big so fast, and Ashland just still kind of had this smallness, but it's still familiar, and it's just so beautiful. I am so grateful that we made the move. And of course, I'll always have an affinity toward my childhood home as well, and my family's there. But yeah, I love getting to live in the place that I write about. And I think moving here really actually just has enhanced what I'm able to describe about a sense of place. And the last thing I will say about this is, no joke, I had talked a lot in the books, as those of you who've read the series obviously know, about this sense of community and this real sense of connection and everything. And I had felt that as a tourist when I would come down. And obviously I had made friends and connections with readers from coming down for lots of book talks and everything over the years. But the first day we moved in, when we moved to Ashland, going on 4 years ago now, we were flooded the first day with baked goods and soups and welcoming flowers and dinner invitations from all of our neighbors, like immediately. So I can report that the sense of community that I write about is even better than what I describe in the books in real life. Like, no joke. So, yes. Okay. Helen, if a fan were to see you walking in Lithia Park, would you want them to say hi, or would you rather keep your privacy? Oh, that's a great question. I would totally want them to say hi. I love that. In fact, we were having dinner, or lunch in the plaza this summer. The plaza turned itself into sort of like a Parisian bistro, so everybody could be outside on different tables and everything. And a reader who was visiting from the Seattle area was there with some friends who I believe were from Grants Pass, and recognized me. And her friend came up and said, "Is it okay if she just says hi?" I'm like, "Yes, come on over." She went and got a book. I signed her book for her. Of course, like, I absolutely want you to say hi. And then I want to tell you all of the wonderful things you should go do too. So fair warning, if you see me, I will I won't right now because of COVID, but in the past, I would probably hug you. That's the truth. So if you're not a hugger, just like be like, whoa, back up. I would probably hug you. I'd be so excited to see you. Hence why I want to do more lives where you all get to come on with me. And then B or C, I'm on C now. I would probably spend the next 20 or 30 minutes talking ad nauseum about all of the places that I think you should visit while you're in the Rogue Valley. I'd probably want to like drag you down and go, okay, here's where I want you. Yeah. So I don't know. You might decide, Helen, that you're going to run the other way next time if you see me. That's the truth. The tech guy's laughing because it's true. Mm-hmm. Yes, come visit. Please come visit. I mean, I know we're not traveling now, but I think when and if we can travel again, I would love to have you all here. Okay, Stacia says, Ashland sounds like a great place to live. One day you can visit. Yes, I want you all to visit. In fact, I'm writing book 14 of the BAKESHOP Mysteries right now. And I'm about 3/4 of the way through the first draft. And this always happens to me when I'm about 3/4 of the way through a manuscript, a first draft. It's terrible. You wouldn't want to read it at this stage. But when I'm at this point, I start thinking like, ooh, what's book 15 going to be? And I have this idea like taking up a little bit of space in my brain. So I'm just like, jotting down a few notes because I have to finish this book first, and then it needs a lot of work. But for book 15, I think I have this idea that could mirror really well with having a big party in Ashland, because I think the timing of when book 15 comes out, maybe, hopefully, we'd be back to traveling again. So that's my thought, that book 15 could be, hey, let's all come back to Ashland together, which is not to say that COVID or the fires or anything like that are going to be part of any books in the near future, because I know I'm living it. I don't want to read it. Yes. Yes, 14. It's true. It's true. Book 14. Uh-huh. It's crazy because I'm always so much farther ahead in my writing. What book is coming out? Book 12 is coming out in December, but I'm writing book 14. I'm almost done with the first draft of book 14, and I'm thinking ahead to book 15. So it's always a little bit challenging, because whenever I'm getting ready for a release, because Without a Brew comes out in just a week or two, I'm kind of in Sloan zone, but then I will switch and be thinking about fun things to do for Chilled to the Cone. And so then I almost usually always have to go back and give myself a little refresher. Like, what was that book about? Oh yeah, because you'll all have questions and I'll be like, oh, when did that happen? You know, it's a hard problem to have. Okay. Genevieve asks, if you had to pick just one crime show to watch forever, which would you pick? Oh, that's a stumper. There are so many. I mean, I think the easy answer is Midsummer Murders, because there are so many of them. So if I was stuck watching only one crime show forever, that makes the most sense to me, because I would have a plethora of choices, because I don't even know how many seasons we're in with that show now, like 22. How many Barnabys have we gone through? Plus it's the English countryside, and they're kind of escapism at its best. But I could have a whole 5 things. This is a great question, because I could have a whole 5 things, and maybe we'll have to do that in November sometime, to talk about some of my favorite crime shows. I will say that almost all of them are on BBC. So we have Acorn and what's the other one? BritBox, because I love anything that is set in England. That's like my go-to spot. So yeah, we'll have to talk about that. I would love to hear some of your favorites. Okay. Oh, Mary says, are you a member of Sisters in Crime, and do you recommend joining? Hi, Mary. Yes, I am. Although I think I need to renew my membership now that you're saying that. I absolutely recommend joining, especially if you're writing, which I know you are, Mary, because it's such a great way to meet other writers. There is a Guppies version, or a Guppies side group in Sisters of Crime for people working on their first mystery. So that's another great way to connect with writers at a stage where you're at, which I think is so important, because we need all the help we can when we're in the middle of trying to figure out how to write a mystery. So there's that. And then they just do so much in terms of an organization to promote mysteries. They work on, highlighting women writers in particular, but there are men who are involved in Sisters in Crime too. There's a whole separate chapter. Well, I think every chapter has its own version, I will say. And then one other, hi, Mary, I'm waving too. Actually, wet my palate. What was I going to say? Oh, another great thing that can happen through Sisters in Crime is sometimes, and this has happened, I have friends for whom this has happened, agents will reach out to Sisters in Crime, perhaps a local chapter, especially if they're looking for something in a particular region. So let's say that my agent wants another book set in the Pacific Northwest. They might then reach out to the Portland chapter of Sisters in Crime and say, hey, do you have any writers who happen to be maybe working on a project that's set in the Pacific Northwest? And sometimes that's how publishing deals get made, because an agent has a relationship with a particular publishing house, and that publishing house is looking for something really specific to fill a hole in their line. So that's another great perk of joining writers' organizations, especially if you're writing yourself. Okay. I know, right? The British mysteries are just the absolute best. They're so good. They're just, they're so well done. And I think particularly now, I've always loved them, but they really are like my form of travel because we're not really going anywhere. So I get to feel like, oh, I'm escaping there, which is what a mystery in general is meant to do. I hope that's what you get from my books, because my goal is that I'm making Ashland or Leavenworth sound like a place that you absolutely want to step into. I mean, murder aside, of course, but yeah. Okay, do you ever start to put jewels in Leavenworth and Sloan and Ashland accidentally? That's a great question. I I really don't. I want to knock on wood when I say that. I mean, with doing our story collabs that we've done, a couple times I've started to think like, oh wait, where what world am I in? Because we just finished final draft our Sloan story collaboration, but like I said, I'm writing book 14 of the Bake Shop mysteries. So, my every day I'm in Jules' world. I'm really structured about world building. And so when I'm working on the Bake Shop mysteries, like I am now, my office is really Bake Shop-ish. I have a Bake Shop candle that I light, so I'm smelling that. Right now, I have all kinds of luscious, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but holiday recipes and magazines. I know, I know. I don't even think the tech guy knows it because I have it like tucked under my desk, so he can't see that I'm in Christmas zone. I'm not writing book 14 is not Christmas, so we just had a cup of holiday fear, but it's going to be set during the winter. So anyway, I change out my whole office. So I really center myself in that world. And then I have playlists. So in fact, our opening song is one of my playlist songs for my Juliet list. So every time that comes on when I'm working, I think of all of you. So I don't really have I know, it's so romantic. It's perfect for her. I don't really have a hard time separating them out, but I think it could happen. But I guess the other thing for me with them is they feel like such different people in my head, which sounds problematic, I know, but it's true. I feel like they could be sisters or friends or something, but they have such different characteristics and they're on like really different paths and everything. So at this point in time, no, but don't hold me to it. It could change. I don't know. Okay. I have another question. Okay. Marie wants to know, when did you first visit Leavenworth? Oh, that's a really good question, Marie. I did not visit Leavenworth growing up in Washington State. So Vancouver, Washington is about a 4.5, 5 hour drive to Leavenworth. I remember as a kid, we went to Yakima, the Yakima Valley, that area, but we never trekked up. And then how did you decide? Okay, I'll do that next. We never trekked all the way up to like Wenatchee and Leavenworth, and I'm not sure why. I mean, I guess probably in hindsight, some of that was that Leavenworth was really rebuilding itself during that period of time because I grew up in the early 80s and everything, and that was sort of at the beginning of their transformation to this German village. And it's really been within the last 20 or so years that it's turned into this mecca for travelers with all of the festivals and the lights and Oktoberfest. I mean, and Oktoberfest is not just one weekend in Leavenworth, it's multiple weekends and it draws literally hundreds of thousands of visitors. Leavenworth gets a lot of travelers from Seattle because it's a really quick trip from Seattle. You can take the train, it's about an hour and a half drive. So I would say my first visit to Leavenworth was probably maybe 10 years ago or so. We went up for Oktoberfest and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like something you would see on BritBox. I mean, the village, even more so than Ashland in terms of just this one tiny little downtown village where everything in the village really does look like this. It's just the quintessential place to set a cozy mystery like this. So I knew really from the moment I stepped into town and that first Oktoberfest that I wanted to set a series there. And what's really interesting is I had an idea for writing about a female brewer for quite a few years leading up to that point in time, because the tech guy is a home brewer. And having grown up in the Portland, Vancouver area, the craft beer scene is just on fire. You cannot walk more than a block in any direction in Portland and not find yourself at some sort of craft beer spot. And so for a couple years, I had kind of been like toying with the idea of Sloan, and I thought I was going to set that series in Portland, but it didn't feel right. And I had another outdoor series that I was writing in Portland, so I knew I didn't want to go all in with that. And then we showed up in Leavenworth, and I was like, oh, the stars have aligned. This is it. The other thing I have to say about this cover in particular, this just came up earlier this week with a question from another reader. So this is actually what Leavenworth looks like, because the cover artist for this particular series lives in Wenatchee. So they were very familiar with Leavenworth, which I love, because it sets the book off in just the perfect tone with this book. Because if you're standing in Leavenworth, this is what it looks like, and then you're looking up into the mountains there. So awesome. Yay, love it. Quick little sip. Gretchen says, what is the opening song, and can you post your writing playlists? Remind me of the opening song, Tech Guy.
Yes, let me unlock this thing here.
He's got to unlock it. We're getting it. Rare Love by Cody Francis. That is our opening song. And yes, I could totally share my playlists. We'll have to do that. Maybe next week I'll do that. I've shared it with my mystery class, so there's no reason I can't share them broader. They're really, I think music helps set the tone. I have writer friends who don't like to write with any music at all, and it's completely a personal preference. When I start a new series, I spend a lot of time coming up, like curating the song list. And Juliet in particular, her playlist is filled with a lot of romantic, sad songs. There's a lot of Matt Nathanson on there. There's a lot of heartbreak, because initially her journey that gets set off is this idea that she's leaving her love to come home to a place that she loves. So she's conflicted. But what's interesting is I've added to the playlist over the years of writing this series, but I don't really even hear it anymore because the songs are so familiar. In fact, if you were just listening to it as a general playlist over and over again, you would be super bored. But for me, it's almost like an auditory reminder when I sit down and I hear Cody's song come on or something like that, like, ooh, that's right, I'm back in Jules' world. So it becomes really almost like background music for me. So yeah, I love music though. I could go on about music forever. So nice to be able to use the internet to visit Ashland and Leavenworth. Yeah, right, Patty? That's all we can do these days. We got to do some internet dreaming. I feel like for me, especially Instagram is great for that because I follow a number of Leavenworth businesses and pages on Instagram. And in fact, just earlier this week, Leavenworth had its first snow. So I was looking at snowy pictures of Leavenworth and just imagining what it will be like to be able to travel again someday. But I'm telling you, mark your calendars. Book 15 of BAKESHOP. That's going to be our comeback tour. I have a whole plan for a Lithia Park outdoor party. That's all I'm saying. No spoilers. I don't even have like an outline for this book yet, so it can't be a spoiler because I have no idea where it's going. It's just a nugget of an idea. Oh yeah, I have 2 videos on YouTube. A tour of Ashland in the fall that we did about this time of year, and then a tour of Leavenworth in the winter. So I will reshare those too. But I was just thinking it would be fun to get some overhead footage of Ashland right now because I don't know if this is true where you are, but fall is just showing off in all of its glory right now. Lithia Park is just incredibly beautiful. Sue, visiting Leavenworth during October or Christmas would be a blast. It really is because during the week, and this is also different than Ashland in terms of Ashland definitely has an ongoing tourist season over the course of usually what would be OSF's season run. So starting in like late mid-March all the way through October, OSF is running. So over that course of time, hundreds of thousands of people come from all over to take in Shakespeare. But Leavenworth is different because the festivals take place over like 3 or 4 day weekends. So during the week, you have just a couple thousand residents, permanent residents, only 2,000 residents in Leavenworth, like 25,000 in Ashland. So different size there too. And then over the weekend, it's just this like crush. Well, crush makes it sound negative, but it's a big burst of energy into the town and the village. And it's, all the shops are alive with color and tents and flowers and Christmas lights and outdoor music at the gazebos and parades and everything. And then come Monday, it's all gone again. So it's such an interesting influx, I think, and that ebb and flow, which as a writer is so fascinating to be able to weave in, because I also have this amazing group of characters who get to come in and out, which is great for suspects, because 2,000 people, Sloan's opportunity to track down a killer starts to get very narrow after a few books. And June says, do you choose your own artist for your cover, or does the publisher have artists? Great question. Yes, the publisher does all of that. In fact, I don't really have a lot of say. What will happen is, so for example, for book 14, when I turn that in next year, my editor will obviously read it, but I will also send her kind of a brief synopsis of the overview of the book. And then early on in the process, I'll have a title, which is a working title that does not often end up being the final title, kind of like what I was talking about with character names. So I'll have a working title, I'll have a synopsis, and then I'll have the initial pages or the manuscript for her. And she will then ask me for any cover ideas, so that might include like, what time of year is it? What season is it? Is there anything unique going on? So for Chilled to the Cone, Tort's opening this little summer ice cream stand. So obviously ice cream needed to be involved. So things like that. And then the team at the publishing house has a separate art department. And what happens first is an artist actually sketches it out. They do a rendering, and then I'll see those early sketches. And usually at that point in time, we haven't decided on things like color, so maybe there's yellow and the final book ends up being blue or something. So it goes through a few evolutions in that process. And then there's kind of the final digital version that ends up. So it's a process that I am not involved in, but this is good because I would never be able to create anything that looks like that. And I'm so thrilled with all of my cover art at Macmillan. They've just done an amazing job. What are you reading for Halloween? Oh, that's a great question, Diana. I just finished Devolution by Max Brooks. I shared a picture of it earlier this week. The tech guy read it this summer when we were camping with friends, actually, out in Central Oregon, deep in the woods. And he was up all night and scaring all of us with this book. And I read a lot of cozy mysteries, historicals. I read a lot of traditional mysteries. I don't read a lot of thrillers or really dark stuff because I'm a chicken. I'm totally a scaredy cat. But I had just said last week, I feel like I want something spooky for my pre-Halloween read. And if you're looking for that, Devolution was phenomenal. Max Brooks wrote Zombie, World War Z. He wrote World War Z. He's a great writer in that he pulls you in right away, and it is a page-turning thriller. It's about Bigfoot. Mount Rainier explodes, Mount Rainier erupts, and there's this small little modern high-tech village that gets cut off in the eruption, and then the rest of the book is about discovering Bigfoot, and it may or may not go horribly wrong. I don't know. You'll have to read it if you're into that sort of thing. But having grown up, in the Pacific Northwest, and Mount Rainier has always been, are you a big chicken too, Lillian? I'm glad I'm not the only one. Mount Rainier has always been sort of like a giant post here. Yeah, horror gives you nightmares. Yeah, me too. I know. We just rewatched all of Stranger Things. The tech guy and I had watched it ourselves, and then we've rewatched it with our teen who is not having nightmares. But of course, I already know the whole evolution of where that story is going, and I was still having nightmares. But anyway, I digress. I highly recommend Devolution. And talking about Stranger Things also reminds me, if you haven't seen it yet, there's a new movie on Netflix. It's Netflix, I think. Enola Holmes. So great. so phenomenal. It's Sherlock Holmes' younger sister, and it's perfection for right now too, because it's sweet. It's not horror. It just has that nice touch of mystery. And I'm blanking on the actress's name, but she plays Elle in Stranger Things. She's the lead for, what is it? Millie Bobby Brown. Thank you. She's the lead in Enola Holmes, and she's phenomenal. The whole cast is, and it's Sherlock's younger sister. So you've got, some female Sherlock power. Yay. Oh my goodness. Okay. Question from Sharon. When you have those days when the words just don't come, how do you force creativity? Well, I say don't use the word force, right? I don't think we can force it. I like to think of creativity as a faucet, right? So you turn on the faucet and the water flows. Or let's imagine, how about it's a garden hose, right? So if we're forcing it, we're kinking the hose. We're like, and then nothing's gonna flow out. Versus unkinking it, the water's gonna flow out. So when I have those days, which everyone does, and every writer does at any stage of their career, that never changes. It's kind of like what I was saying to Lily Ann at the start. Even though I love writing, even though I've written 20 plus, I don't even know how many mysteries yet, I definitely have days where I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing I've ever written. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm such a fraud. So that is just unfortunately part of the creative curse when we put ourselves into this act of writing. But I would say on those days when the writing isn't going well, I don't try to force it. I try to let it go. I will often go do something else, something physical. So maybe that's a walk or a hike. Maybe that's getting outside for some gardening for a little while. Maybe it's baking, something else that like takes my mind off of trying to get through my word count. So that's one idea. And then the other idea is often I will just give myself permission to keep writing, even though I know that what I'm writing is probably all going to end up getting edited away later, because I think there's such an important shift that we make from perfection to progress. So, just trying to go, nope, I'm just making progress. I'm just making progress. I'm focusing on progress. I'm not going to worry about it being perfect. I know as I'm writing this is not exactly what I want it to be, but I'm writing it anyway. And I'm making a little note here next to it going, oh, chapter 12, you're going to have to come back and fix it. But that's the thing. We can't fix a blank page, right? So we just have to keep writing until we get a really terrible, horrible, awful first draft. And then we can go back and we can take our little magic editing pen and go, oh, okay, that's right. Oh yeah, chapter 12 is real bad. Okay, that's right. But I knew that when I wrote it. So now with some fresh eyes, I'm able to see where it falls apart. I hope that helps. But yeah, that is the bane of every writer's existence. But I really do think like if we try to force and pound through that creative energy, it's just, we're going to hit a lot more resistance than going, okay, well, let me step back. Let me go outside. Maybe I'll just make myself a nice cup of tea, meditate for a few minutes, go run on the treadmill, whatever. Come back and go, okay, I'm going to recenter myself and try this again. Good. Oh yeah, check it out. You will love it. It's so good. The tech guy says, I didn't hate that Henry Cavill is Sherlock. I don't know if you all know Henry Cavill. I fell in love with him. He was the Duke of Suffolk in The Tudors. That miniseries is phenomenal if you're a fan of anything British. He was amazing. And then, of course, he played Superman, and now he's Sherlock. So, yeah. But honestly, the whole cast was great. It's just charming. It's just the perfect escape for right now, I think, especially if you're a mystery lover. Okay, we've got a couple more questions. And I know that there may have been a couple of you who tried to get on with tech issues. So we're going to keep working on that. But we got Lillian on and we're good to go. Okay, so a map of the village. Yes, Diana, I love that idea too. I've been trying to think of how I could I need to hire like a student at SOU or a graphic designer who could do that, because I think it would be so fun to show you all the places in the village where they are. You go to Google Maps. Yes, it doesn't show. I know. How dare they not show Nitro or Tort? Come on, Google Maps. I've also thought this is, I always have brainstorms, but at some point in time, I need to reach out to the chamber here in Ashland, and we could do like a whole little walking tour of Juliet's Ashland. And I don't know, maybe there'd be prizes. This maybe all is going to be part of my comeback tour for post-COVID book 15. Putting it out there now. Yeah, I like that. Good. Yeah. Okay. Well, this was super fun. I don't know how it was for you, but I love that I got to see Lily Ann in real life, and we'll do it again. So next time we do a live, if you're feeling brave, you could come on and I could meet you in real life too, which is the best. But I've loved all of your questions. I hope everyone has a happy and safe Halloween. I know it's going to be different this year, but maybe if you haven't seen Enola Holmes, tomorrow night would be a great night to make a delicious feast and curl up on a couch and watch that. Hang some candy somewhere, put some outside for the little trick-or-treaters. I'm still gonna wear my costume. If you didn't see it the other night. Oh, let's see, I gotta take my glasses off. My last hurrah. This is my chilled to the cone skull head in honor of chilled to the cone. The tech guy made that for me. I'll pose and show you the whole thing in a picture later today. As always, it's such a delight to get to spend a Friday with you. I have some events coming up. Oh, Lillian, so great to finally meet you in real life too. I know, that's the best. I'm gonna totally keep doing this. This is awesome. Great question, Arzani. Are we meeting through December? Yes. So coming next week, what's that? Dun, 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 coming soon. Oh, he doesn't have the camera set up. That's okay. Next Tuesday is no live because it is election day here in the United States. So go vote, 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 vote. If you haven't turned in your ballot, make sure you turn in your ballot into a drop box because it's too late to mail it in wherever you are. So be sure to vote. I've already voted. And in Oregon, you can also go and check and see that your ballot was received. Mine has been received. So do that. We will be back next Friday live with Abby Collette. And then on Tuesday, November 10th, we have the live release party, 5 o'clock Tuesday night, regular time, same bat channel for Without a Brew. We're going to do some Sloan trivia, tons of fun giveaways planned. And then I have quite a few other fun things planned for Sloan in November. And then the big date that I want you to circle is Tuesday, December 1st, because that's our one night mystery where we're going to write a holiday mystery together live. And starting next week, I'm going to pose the first few questions in the cozy collaboration group for that. So start thinking about that. But no, I have a lot of other stuff planned, so stay tuned. Can the tech guy post the link on how to do the in-person so we'll have it for next time? Yes, this was kind of our test, Sharon, and we weren't sure it was gonna work. In fact, we were chatting while we were setting up like, well, I don't know, it could work, it may not, but yeah, we will definitely do this for the launch party, and I love getting to even have a better sense of who you all are. So definitely, yeah, we'll post that and instructions and everything ahead of time. Oh yeah, so maybe tech guy's saying maybe that will be a tie-in for giveaway winners for the live. So mark your calendars for Tuesday, November 10th. For that, we'll have a big Sloan Krause celebration, some trivia, some live, some surprises, etc. All right, on that note, have a great weekend and happy Halloween.